We want to welcome her to the program, Chenise Johnson. Chenise, welcome to the program.
Hi, how are you doing? Thank you for having me.
All is well. I'm doing well. Thank you so much once again for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us on the program. So let's get right to it. How did you become a member of the ATL Dancers?
Yeah. Everyone's journey on the team is a little different with how they got into dancing initially. I myself got into dancing because my mother wanted me to break out of my shell and dance is something she did. Initially, I grew really fond of it. And so after college, I started dancing professionally with different theme parks and movies. And a couple of years ago, I moved out to Atlanta. I already knew a couple of girls that were dancing on the team, and it seemed like they were having the time of their lives. So I auditioned during quite a strange year. It was peak COVID, so generally everything was virtual and had to film myself, submit it on time. So that's how I got involved and why I wanted to be on the team.
Awesome. What an interesting journey it is. And you mentioned about the professional experience that you had that led up to you auditioning for being a member of the ATL Hawks Dancers in such a difficult time in our society. I want to ask you, what styles of dance are you trained in?
I am trained in everything, ballet, jazz technique, lyrical, musical theater. I can read music, can play it a little bit, hip-hop, tap, just everything. Very, very creative.
I want to ask you, what's the most difficult type of dance you've practiced so far?
I can honestly say the most difficult type of dance I've practiced has been pointe. And for listeners, that's when you see the beautiful tall ballerinas that seem to go on their toes. So that's what that is. That's pointe. And you really have to have extremely strong ankles, body composition. You have to know how to support yourself because it's a box in between those shoes, but your foot is almost literally up and like you are going on your toes. And so it's very uncomfortable. Even when you get used to it, it's still uncomfortable. So I would say that's the hardest dance style for myself.
Wow, very interesting. Thank you for explaining that to me and to the listeners out there. And again, you talked about the different forms of dance that you've practiced. And of course, that's helped you to become a member of the ATL Hawks Dancers. So we know that the grit and grind of an NBA team is very rigorous just with the day's worth of practice. But can you explain to the listeners out there, can you describe a typical day of practice for the ATL Hawks Dancers?
Yeah, a typical day at practice is running through previously learned and cleaned routines, getting those court ready. Then from that, if there's any notes that we need to add, any changes that we need to make, we do that. And then, we'll get into learning a new routine because regular season, you have your schedule out. Playoff season, things can change and you have to be very flexible. So, there's times where, maybe this is an elimination game, but you still have to have a couple of routines ready in your back pocket just in case, the team moves forward.
Wow, very interesting. Game days can be very intense and also very amped up for any sporting league, and the NBA is no exception to the rule. So can you describe what a game day is like?
Yes, game days are my favorite days. They are extremely fun. Some people may get in from their full-time job, and, you got to switch gears and be ready for your dancing job. We have court rehearsal. Then from that, we also rehearse any kind of hot timeouts or any other events that we're doing throughout the game. Then we'll eat, go upstairs and eat dinner. And then, a lot of us are either halfway ready or continue to get ready. Then we go upstairs and start greeting our fans, taking pictures, doing any kind of fan appreciation. And by that time, it's basically tip-off. So, we're back on the court for the national anthem and player intros, and we're ready to start the game. And we perform once a game, and that can be, generally it's in the first half, sometimes it's in the second half.
All right, good deal. And we know that Atlanta has such a rich history when it comes to music, not just with hip-hop, but just with R&B and just various forms of music. So I got to ask you, what's your favorite music and artist you enjoy listening to?
Atlanta artists, I will say I really like Lil Baby as far as hip-hop. As far as R&B, Atlanta artists, I like Summer Walker. But I'm also a little old school in the sense of I really like early 2000s, 90s. I hate to call that old school, but 90s, 2000s R&B and hip-hop. And of course I love Beyonce. And with Atlanta being so rich in Southern hip-hop in general, music, we've had so many artists come and perform with us, or just perform by themselves. The celebrity that I was honestly gasped at, like just shocked that they were there and everybody else was Jay-Z. So it was crazy to see Jay-Z sitting courtside, coming through the tunnel, all of that.
Awesome, man. I mean, I know it's got a great experience just seeing Jay-Z. I mean, definitely somebody respected. Now, we talked about Atlanta music and artists you enjoy listening to, but what's your favorite music and artists you enjoy listening to outside of Atlanta?
Outside of Atlanta, I really love Rihanna, and I also like listening to Kanye West.
I want to ask you about the atmosphere for an NBA game in Atlanta. We know about the atmosphere in L.A. and New York, Miami, also Chicago, and you can say with San Francisco with the Golden State Warriors. But I want to, and also you could put Philadelphia with the 76ers as well. But can you describe to the listeners what the atmosphere is like for an NBA game in Atlanta?
Yeah, it's honestly, just as much fun, just as loud. The fans are decked out in their best Hawks gear, Hawks colors, all of that, I know a couple of fans by name who are just members meaning, they have their season tickets and they're always there, they're in their seats and they know me by name, they know the other dancers by name, and it's such a fun atmosphere. And, yeah, we think of the LA, the Miami, the Philadelphias, the Golden State, but Atlanta is just up there as far as fans just being involved and yelling and just like rocking the place out.
What celebrities have you met since you've been a member of the ATL dancers?
I wouldn't say met, but I've seen quite a few. Chris Tucker comes to games quite often, and he's a pleasure to be around. And just we call Quavo the honorary Hawks member because he's always at the big games and he's always supporting the team. So overall, it's just fun to just see the celebrities mix and mingle with everyone and enjoy sports themselves because they're normal people just like us.
Absolutely, people forget about that sometimes, but as you said, they are normal. We talk about NBA fans are very unique in different cities. You have Lakers fans, Celtics fans, Warriors fans. You've got the Knicks fans as well as the 76ers fans. You can put Bulls fans in the mix as well. But I want to ask you, what makes Hawks fans different from other fans in the NBA?
I'd say what makes Hawks fans different is just appreciation for basketball and like the culture in itself. For instance, Dominique Wilkins is such a legend to the Atlanta Hawks, and every time he's announced or is speaking or anything like that, everybody is just cheering him on, clapping him. So the Hawks fans just really appreciate the players, the organization as a whole. I know I've been in some arenas where maybe the team is playing a little poorly, and the home base, they will start booing their team, and I've never seen that with the Hawks fans.
Trae Young, just give me your thoughts on how the crowd responds to Trae being in the league and what he's meant to the city of Atlanta.
Yeah, they love him. They are in love with Trae Young, and who wouldn't be? Like he does so much stuff outside of the basketball court in the community, and he's an amazing player and very electrifying, very charismatic on court. So it's hard not to love him as a Hawks fan, and I'd say it's easy to not like him if you're not a Hawks fan because he's playing against your team. So our Hawks fans, we really appreciate what he's done for the city and for the team.
All right, awesome. And we mentioned about the city of Atlanta having just a rich history in terms of music and culture, but also Atlanta has such a rich history in terms of the civil rights movement and just how businesses ran in that city. And I know that Atlanta has been a big market in the NBA for a long time. I want to ask you, in your opinion, Chenise, what are the advantages of Atlanta being a big market in the NBA?
I think one of the advantages would be that, it is rich in black culture. Atlanta, for quite some time has been like the staple for a lot of civil rights movement, a lot of political movements coming in and out of Atlanta, and so I think people do recognize that and they see our demographics, and so it's almost like if you do want to make a statement, if you want to accomplish something, you got to do it down here in Atlanta.
All right, fair enough. And I want to stay just with the Hawks again for a moment. We know the Atlanta sports scene, of course, the Braves, and you also have Atlanta United, which is the MLS team, and, of course, the Atlanta Falcons have had a presence in the city for quite some time. I want to ask you, in your opinion, where do the Hawks rank in terms of popularity in the Atlanta sports scene?
Yeah. Obviously I can say our playoff run of 2021 catapulted us up there in the rankings. A lot of people were not expecting us to perform that well, and, we exceeded expectations. So I would say we're just up there, next to all the other Atlanta sports teams. But in general, the Braves players will come to our games, Falcons players will come to our games, and vice versa. So it's all essentially like just a real big family in the community.
Awesome. And again, thank you so much again for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us on the program, Chenise. So again, tell everybody where they can find you on social media, and if you have any websites, let them know that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. On social media, I am Chenise J. That's CHENISEJ. If you want to see Hawks Dancers in motion, you can follow us also on Instagram, ATL Hawks Dancers, and my website is CheniseJ.com. But thank you again so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
And again, you heard it from her, Chenise Johnson. Chenise, again, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us.
Absolutely, and bye, everyone.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning into the channel. Remember to click like, share, and subscribe, and thank you for watching.